Boy, oh boy, yesterday was a big day, and I don't think for all of the right reasons. I was very excited for the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement. I streamed it, and as you could see, as I got to the end of my stream, I was more and more disappointed by a lot of the news that was coming out about the console, specifically regarding the prices. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, there's many other things in the news to go over. So this may be a longer than usual video because yesterday was just an absolutely crazy day, and we will go over everything. But before we do continue, if you enjoy daily gaming news for the 8 a.m. show, as well as other videos discussing things happening in the gaming industry, I would really appreciate you hitting the subscribe button, especially if you have been watching for a while. It helps this channel grow and allows me to continue to make these videos. So I appreciate all the support, and for now, let's jump into it. So the Nintendo Direct for the Nintendo Switch 2 happened yesterday. And if you've been online on social media at any point between, let's say, 10 a.m. or 10:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and now, you will see the reaction towards the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement is very, very negative for, I would say, one reason in particular, and that has to do with the pricing of everything that did come out about it, and the fact that the Switch 2 isn't looking like this huge major upgrade over the current Nintendo Switch that would warrant such big prices, at least for the games and in the console as well. There's just a lot of stuff happening here, and I think there's a lot of things in play within the gaming industry. There's economic factors that play into this, obviously, with the tariffs and the Liberation Day that Trump was announcing yesterday, I think plays as well in this. There's actually some information that shows Nintendo moved some of their production to try to avoid some of these tariffs. I think this all plays into the pricing of the Switch and the games. And it just did not go well. This kind of is reminding me of the Xbox One announcement. Now, I don't think it will have as big of a hit as the Xbox One did, simply because it's Nintendo and people are going to go out and buy this regardless of how much it costs. But there's a lot of information, and I'm going to go over some of the, I would say, important things when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, like the screen size, the outputs, and just the changes that we are getting, the additional features we will be getting with this console versus the current Nintendo Switch. Because there is some interesting stuff. It wasn't all bad. I am still somewhat excited for this just because I am a fan of my Nintendo games and everything. And I do like my current Nintendo Switch. Here it is. They started off with Mario Kart World. We'll talk about that because that has brought up a lot of discussion. But this is what you need to know regarding the price and the specs that you are going to be getting that they did tell us. The price in US dollars is $450 US just for the Nintendo Switch 2 itself. And then if you want to get the Nintendo Switch 2 plus the Mario Kart World bundle, that will cost $500 US. And then the pricing varies across the world. Like, for example, where I live in Canada, it's $630 for the Nintendo Switch by itself, and I think it's $650 for the Nintendo Switch 2 with Super Mario Kart World. I'll double check that, but I think it's in that price range. So it's just absolutely crazy. I guess if you kind of do the conversion, it is somewhat cheaper than the direct conversion from USD to Canadian dollars. Other places around the world, like in Australia, it's very expensive. In the UK, it's actually cheaper than it is in the United States. So that's a good thing for them. But the price here, $450 and $500. Before they announced the Nintendo Switch 2, my opinion on this was $399 is, I think, the max that they should go. If they go over that, $450, they're pushing it. $500, I think, will be hard to convince a lot of people who currently own the Nintendo Switch right now and are enjoying the Nintendo Switch to want to go out and buy it. And I would say I consider the people who look at this price and are swayed away from purchasing it, not the enthusiasts. But if it launched at $400, $399, if they could have gotten it down to $350, and you look at the specs that they've shown off with this thing, they probably could have in different economic conditions. But if they could have got it to that price, I think you'd have enthusiasts running out and buying it day one, and you'd have just semi-enthusiasts going out and also buying it at that price. But this price, I think it will solely be the people who are enthusiasts, big Nintendo fans, and potentially, if they have really good trade-in offers at like GameStop, for example, to trade in your original Nintendo Switch, maybe you get like $150 for it or something, or $200, something crazy like that, then maybe there'll be more people jumping in and playing it. But the price on the console is a little bit high, but I don't think it's that insanely absurd comparatively to what we did see with the pricing of the games, which we will talk about. Now, the console does come out on June 5th. 2025. So very, very close here. 2 months until this thing does drop. And what you're going to be getting as an upgrade here, I would say the biggest thing will be the storage. Although in today's gaming world, I don't know how much this is actually going to help, especially what we did learn about the games. And then the screen size is a 7.9 inch LCD screen that displays game at 1080p in handled. One of the things with the OG Nintendo Switches, you were getting 720p, so you're getting that upgrade here to 1080p in your hands. And we're going to be also getting 120 FPS, which is a cool thing for games like Metroid Prime that they showed off. You can also use the mouse features with that game. So I'm hoping that the mouse feature will be something that's standard basically with first-person shooters. It will be an easy thing to implement for developers. But 7.9-inch LCD screen. The drawback here is you're not getting OLED. And OLED right now on the Switch OLED, the screen's going to look better, I believe, than what they're calling here a vivid LCD screen with HDR. I think the OLED screen is still going to look better just simply from looking at LCD screens and looking at OLEDs and going from an LCD TV to an OLED TV. Like, it is night and day, and it makes your gaming experience better. So for a more expensive console, to me, with a downgraded screen, but a bigger screen size, I guess it'll be okay. I'm happy with the bigger screen size, but we'll see how good this LCD is with all of the HDR stuff in there. The other thing here that is cool, I'm very happy to see that this is the case, is that it will output video up to 4K resolution and play games at 120 FPS. They showed off the dock, and the thing is, you could tell this thing will be striving for that 4K because there's actually a fan in the dock this time. So they know this thing is going to heat up and they're going to have to cool it down to be able to push that. But 4K output, an absolute need here in 2025 when 4K TVs are very cheap. Most people have them now. Most people have updated their TVs to have 4K. So you have to have that with when releasing a console in 2025. So good to see that that is the case, because there were rumors that they were going to not have that with the output, which would have been very disappointing. Now, the Joy-Cons, they connect magnetically. There's also mouse controls. We learned that the C button is going to be this new feature with their game chat, and they showed off the game chat with Mario Kart World, where everyone had like their screens and they were watching it play. Skeptical how good this game chat is going to be and how well it will be used, just because it's Nintendo and they're so far behind on the online functionality and the community functionality stuff. So we'll see, but that's what the C button is for. Seriously, just for the online feature called Game Chat. It reminds me of when they announced the Picto Chat with the Nintendo DS, and that was a very cool thing to use at the beginning, kind of gimmicky, but I don't know how long people actually use Picto Chat after trying it out for a few times. Now, internal storage will only be 256 gigabytes. This is going to fill up instantly, and you need to expand this with a micro SD express card. You can't use your current SD card that is on your current Nintendo Switch. It won't work. It's going to be expanded with the micro SD express card. That's what they say here. It was also confirmed that the Nintendo Switch 2 will have red game cartridges, spatial 3D sound, and more. So the internal storage is very low. I would have expected at least 500 gigabytes in 2025 at this point with the size of the games, but they're thinking 256 will be enough, at least for now, but they're obviously going to be expanding out. The question that I have is, and it was kind of answered later on, was, are they giving 256 because they believe that these games are going to be compressed nicely down onto those cards, that they will be able to give more leeway with how many games you can fit on there? Not sure, but one of the things that is very disappointing here with the current Nintendo Switch 2 cartridges, which is different from the last generation or the OG Switch, is that it looks like games are going to have to be downloaded and that the carts are just a license to the store to download the games, basically bringing it up to modern times. However, one of the nice things about the Nintendo Switch 1 was that a lot of games, unless they signified on the box saying you needed an extra download, you had the full game on the cartridge, and a lot of people love that, especially for collection purposes and game preservation. That's gone. Nintendo is really, this time, for the first time this gen, with the Switch 2 jumping fully into that full digital era. They obviously, I think, want to move away from physical stuff and get more in line with PlayStation and Xbox, simply because it's better for business and they save money. But they have the virtual carts coming, and then they're going to have your carts that are just wasted plastic that will be licenses for these games that you have to download anyway, which also I believe will hurt the collecting market for the Nintendo Switch 2. So that was a disappointment. Now, when it comes to the games, they showed off a lot of games. One of the biggest advantages that the Switch 2 is going to have is its portability. And now the fact that it can play tons of these third-party games that are currently out on the PS5 and the Series X will be a big bonus, especially when you think about the fact that they are playing stuff like Borderlands 4. That's going to be a day one release. It has an exclusive From Software game that is dropping on to the Nintendo Switch 2 only. I wonder if that will ever come over to the other platforms. I think at some point it will, but that is going to be a big advantage because you're going to be playing the same games now, I think, across Switch 2, PS5, Xbox Series X. So people are going to have to make that decision when they're going out there. Do I want to get a Switch 2 simply because I can play the same stuff, but also bring the console with me on the go with the whole portability factor? But one thing that will deter a lot of people from picking up the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be the price of the games. I think more so than anything, this is what everybody was up in arms for, and so was I. Like, I think this is pretty ridiculous what the Switch is doing here with the pricing of their games. It's kind of all over the board. This isn't standardized. Like, you have some games at 60, 70, but what they're doing with a game like Mario Kart World, and as well as their other first-party games, is they're costing up to $80 for the digital editions of these games, and then $90 for the physical versions of them. So they're charging $10 more for physical versions. Now, from what I saw in my quick little investigation, was the $90 for the physical versions is only showing up right now on the Europe store. I didn't see it on the US store. That may or may not be a mistake, or maybe in the US they are just charging 80 across the board for digital and physical. But on the US store, like if you go to the Nintendo website, you go on any like for the Ireland website, that's where I saw it. It was $90. It said right there for the physical Nintendo Switch game, and or 90 euros, and then 80 for the digital. And that's insane pricing, especially when you look at these games. I mean, they look really fun. The gameplay is going to be there. It's going to be great, but they don't give you that huge development cost, big AAA experience style of feeling that you get from other $80 or $70 games that are on the market right now. But this was a huge talking point. I think the major thing why this is bad is that, one, I do believe people will still buy it. And two, you're going to see other publishers look at this and follow suit and start charging more for their games. So consumers are going to lose on every end because of these price raises and Nintendo doing this. It's unfortunate. And from the Xbox side of things, I wonder what they will do, because if you compare PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox, I don't know how anyone will be able to argue against this, but in terms of kind of consumer friendliness, things that they do, even with like the upgrades, Xbox, you pop in your Xbox One disc, you get the free upgrade to the Series X version. Nintendo is even charging $10 upgrades, or I think it's $10 something. There's a price for their upgrades for some of their games. There's a free list of upgrades, but then you have games like Zelda where you're still paying for upgrades for FPS and resolution. So they're doing that PlayStation thing where they're charging you a small amount if you already own the game to upgrade to the Switch 2 version. Xbox doesn't do that. And as of right now, I wonder if they would follow suit if these game prices do raise. My thinking is they probably would if they know they can get away with it, but because they would see that this would probably push even more people to sign up to Xbox Game Pass rather than having to pay $80 or $90 for games. Or maybe they just look at it and say, we don't even want to take part in this price gouging that is happening right now. But yeah, this is my biggest fear going forward for the next generation, is just everyone following suit with the pricing of these games. Now, the other thing here, again, as I talked about, were the upgrades. So Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Switch games, they say like Zelda and Kirby will cost $80. So this has been confirmed. So $80 for a lot of these Switch 2 editions. That is going to be the set price for them. And they also as I said, will be charging the upgrades. As you can see here, that the paid upgrades for certain Switch games bringing enhanced frame rates and more. And the games that will be paid for: Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Metroid Prime Beyond, and Pokemon Legends ZA. So if you buy the Switch 1 versions, there's going to be a list here of games that you have to pay for the Switch 2 versions. You don't really get much more with them other than the upgrades to the way that the game is going to perform. You do get something on the app that they showed off, which was kind of cool with the Zelda stuff, but yeah, I don't know if that is even worth anything. It's just some helpful tools to get through the game itself. But then there are games that are free updates. You can see the list of stuff here, like ARMS, Captain Toad, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 3D World, Clubhouse Games, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Game Builder Garage, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Pokemon Scarlet Violet, and Big Brain Academy Brain vs. Pain. So even some of their big titles, like the Super Mario games, are getting some free upgrades. So just an odd thing they're doing with the pricing. It really is all over the place. But the biggest outrage is just on that $80 for games that don't need to be $80. Yes, I understand there's inflation. Yes, I understand that the market conditions are worse now than they were in 2017. But the gaming industry has grown. There's more people playing games. They have way bigger market to expand to. There's so many other things that they could do to make more money rather than raising the prices of the games. And basically, I think price gouging people who are going to go out there and purchase it. And I'll be honest, I'm going to try to get a Nintendo Switch too, because it's good to look at reviews, good for the channel. I love my Switch. But I think a lot of people are going to be turned off from this thing, and they're just going to leave it. They're going to wait for a sale. This may be a Nintendo 3DS scenario. If you remember with that, when they overpriced it and then slashed the prices really fast and had to apologize to everybody who bought it at the full price by giving them some free games. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case here. Now, if you do want to get pre-orders, they're coming on April 9th. So April 9th is the pre-order date, and some stores are opening up at 12 p.m. Like I believe I saw GameStop is, at least online, and Best Buy is as well. At 12 p.m. April 9th, you're going to be able to pre-order it. The thing that people are always worried about when it comes to pre-ordering this is scalpers. Looks like Nintendo is doing something here. They say the Nintendo Switch 2 scalpers are being targeted by Nintendo with a clever pre-order trick. And they say that what they're doing is that if you're worried about your order being taken by a scalper, fear not. Nintendo has got a contingency plan to deal with meddlers. And specifically, Nintendo is giving Switch 1 owners priority for the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders. So according to Tom Warren, saying limiting its own pre-orders to Switch 1 owners that have an active Switch Online membership and have spent a certain amount of time playing purchased and paid Nintendo Switch games, prioritizing those with more playtime. Those are going to get the advantage of picking up these games picking up the console when it does go on sale. There's a whole thing you have to see here if you do qualify for it, but that will mitigate some of the scalping because they will be first in the line. And people who have a ton of playtime, have an active membership, or actively playing games on the current Switch are probably the enthusiasts who are going to go out there and pick up the Switch 2 on day one. But the sentiment around this after it ended is not what I expected whatsoever. I expected just to be just fun, happy-go-lucky Nintendo, everyone cheering and excited for the Switch 2. It just doesn't seem like that because of what happened here with the pricing and a lot of the economic factors surrounding it. We also have this here, and this is an interesting thing to keep into account because there's a debate. Do these tariffs that Trump has been putting on with, especially yesterday, is this having an effect? Well, Shinobi 602 linked this article from Bloomberg, and it says that the U.S. tariff products from Vietnam at a 46% rate could heavily impact Switch 2 pricing, possibly globally. And it says Nintendo shifted Switch 2 production from China to Vietnam/Cambodia to avoid tariffs. Others include 34% tariffs on China, 49% on Cambodia, 24% on Japan, and 20% on the EU and more. And I mean, the reality is these things are manufactured in these countries that are being tariffed. So this could hurt the pricing of some of the stuff and maybe pushing them up. A lot of people were comparing the prices in Japan, which are much lower than the prices in the United States. So that it could be a thing here. I don't know. I'm not an economist. We would need an economist to weigh in here and tell me if this has a major effect on it. But yesterday was a wild day with the news surrounding the Nintendo Switch 2. It's unfortunate that it ended with just so much negativity, but it does feel like that Xbox One announcement stuff here. So who knows? Another funny thing is, if you look at the Switch 2 and what they announced, the way that they went about the announcement, very reminiscent of the Xbox One with the games and the DRM and the license and the fact that there's a camera that you can buy with it. Now it's not packed in, but there's a Nintendo camera that they highlighted and stuff. There was a meme going around showing kind of the similarities between the two, and then the negative reaction between the two is also similar. So we'll see how the Switch 2 does. The pricing could hurt its overall sales, I think, in the first little while, and I wonder if there will be price cuts if that does happen. Now, it wasn't just all Nintendo news yesterday. There was also Xbox news. And some good Xbox news. Xbox news has been positive for a while now. They gave us a new Game Pass announcement, so we'll go through the stuff that is coming. Obviously, the big one of them all is going to be South of Midnight, but we have Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition coming on April 3rd to all three tiers of Game Pass, Ultimate, PC, and Standard. All You Need Is Help is coming on April 3rd to Standard. Still Wakes the Deep, phenomenal game. I really enjoyed this one. If you haven't played it yet, coming on April 3rd to Game Pass Standard. Wargroove 2, April 3rd to Standard. Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls, Ultimate Evil Edition, coming to console and PC on April 8th. So all three tiers of Game Pass. And then the big hitter for Xbox this month, which we should be getting reviews relatively soon, South of Midnight is coming April 8th to Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass, a day one game. You have Commandos Origins coming on April 9th to Game Pass Ultimate and PC, which is also a day one game. Blueprints, another day one game, coming April 10th to Ultimate and PC. And this is one that Shuei Yoshida has said this could be a game of the year. So I'm actually pretty interested in checking this one out. Hunt Showdown coming April 15th to PC. So that was the Game Pass announcement. To me, it's like South of Midnight is the winner there that I'm excited to play. And then Blueprints, I am excited to jump into at some point, basically based off of what I have heard. We also did get this announcement. This is, I don't know, the third time that GTA has come to Game Pass, but GTA 5 is coming over to Xbox and PC Game Pass later this month. It says here, news comes from primarily Rockstar Games related X account, Videotech UK, who says that the Rockstar Games has sent an email to GTA related community page telling them of the news. GTA 5 has been on Game Pass a couple of times, but this would be the first time that it is landing on PC Game Pass. So it's been on Game Pass in general a bunch of times, but this is coming to PC Game Pass where you can get a lot of stuff out of it, I think with like mods, and it can just look pretty crazy. So cool stuff there. More games coming over to Game Pass that people are going to be able to play. Okay. Xbox Cloud Gaming, they're continuously adding features to it. And to me, this is exciting because this is showing that they're going to be expanding this to everything in Xbox. It's not just going to be Game Pass. And now it looks like early access games, the play before official launch games here, if you own premium or if you own the premium edition of that game, will be coming to Xbox Cloud Gaming. So for example, when Xbox puts their first party games out like South of Midnight, if you pay that extra $30 or whatever it is to get early access to it, you're actually going to be able to play this now via cloud gaming. This was something I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they missed the boat on that with Avowed, where people were like, well, I bought this early, I want to play it through the cloud, and I can't. I'm on Game Pass Ultimate, all that stuff, and they couldn't do it. So maybe this is a direct response to that. They saw that, yeah, we got to fix that. And it looks like premium editions are coming to early access or to cloud gaming for your early access games, which is a big W, I think, because they want to expand out to everything. And that's the goal of cloud gaming, is to basically make it this other home where you get your console games, your PC games, your Game Pass games in one place if you're not at your local hardware device to be able to go out and play them. It is 50th anniversary of Microsoft, and they're adding some pretty cool themes here to Xbox. I actually think this looks awesome. I love this. This is a background they've added, as you can see it here. It just has all of the different Xbox IPs with the Windows logo with 50 in it. So they're adding wallpapers and you can apply it as a dynamic background on the Xbox Series X and S. There's also a solitaire themed one they say Microsoft is holding a special event on Friday to announce some new additions to Copilot as well. So that is Microsoft's 50th anniversary and how they are expanding it out to Xbox as well with just some themes. It's nice. I think that's cool. I think it looks good. Okay, Hollow Knight Silksong is coming in 2025. It was finally shown again at the Nintendo Direct, but it was literally shown for 3 seconds. But for anybody out there who's worried this game is never going to be coming, it is coming. They showed it off literally 3 seconds. I don't even know if it's worth going to check out if you're a fan of it, because there really wasn't anything there. But it is coming 2025 to Switch 1, 2, PS5, PC, Xbox, and Xbox Game Pass. So Hollow Knight fans can rest easy. You are going to be playing this game, I think, relatively soon. And then finally, we will just end off with this. Battlefield 6's free-to-play Battle Royale game mode has been data mined. They are getting back into Battle Royale. They had one previously, I forget with which Battlefield it was, but it had like that Ring of Fire. I thought it was pretty cool, and but it didn't take off comparatively to Blackouts from Call of Duty. But they're coming back with it. They say here that the information originates from several different data miners who have been able to data mine Battlefield 6, having gained access to the files via Battlefield Labs. And last week, over 20 concept arts images of Battlefield 6 leaked, and allegedly, the data miners revealed that Battle Royale game mode will be coming to Battlefield 6, which was previously exclusively reported by Insider Gaming. And they say that this Battle Royale will have a lot of traditional features like solo, duo, trio, squad matches, armor system, call-ins, loot rarity, update kits and weapons, and a shrinking zone. This is not surprising. I mean, this is Vince Zampella running Battlefield 6, and he was behind Apex Legends, which at one point was one of the most popular BR games out there, and it was very good. So with him at the helm, I have lots of hope that this is going to be also very good on top of the base Battlefield 6 multiplayer and base Battlefield 6 game. I'm very excited for this game simply because of who is behind it. And I think this is going to be a nice comeback for Battlefield, where we will hopefully see that Call of Duty versus Battlefield competition right back out there as it used to be. And that's when I think Battlefield was at its best, when they were directly competing with Call of Duty. But I'll end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. Let me know what you think about everything in the comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support, and I will catch you in the next video.
Bye.